Hello everyone, I'm Gandair, the gaming clan Vato clan, and we're still in the round of 4 games set up for you. I'm not sure which one we're going to be casting first. That's what I'm trying to figure out at the moment, and then we will bring that to you. And it looks like our finals games. Take a look at the bracket really quick over here. It looks like it's going to be Clueless versus Why Golly Why for the semifinals 1. And semifinals 2, it looks like it's going to be Team Sofanda Cox versus the winner of Why So Serious and Pays Evelynn Child Support. I want to say thank you to our sponsor for putting this event on, LoLPro.com. If you guys want guides on how to build some champions, here on the front page, you can see they have links to all of them. All the champions on the front, but if you want Dominion-specific guides, go ahead and click on the Pro Guides button up at the top part of the screen. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit, and you can see by player on the screen. You can see who is the author, you can see how many of them, and you can see that some of these are Dominion-specific. They have the Lulu guide by Mad Supportal, aka the best Lulu that there is currently in Dominion. Sauron has written a guide for a few different champions, Lysandra included in that, and Syndra as well. BB Pop's Quinn. BB Pop is an amazing Quinn player, so that is going to be a good guide to check out. Sauron's Jarvan and Jax are legendary. Northpaw Caitlyn, very, very good as well. Painkiller Annie. Every single one of these guides is good. I want to read all of them, and you can read all of them. If you go to lolpro.com/guides, you can learn how to be good at these characters. If you're picking up a champion for the first time and you think, man, I want to be great at this, go to lolpro.com, go to the guide section, find a champion that is right for you, and read, educate yourself a little bit about how that champion works in Dominion. I'm going to go continue getting this game set up here, and we'll bring you the gameplay from the semifinals in just a couple of moments. Hi. I forgot to unclick my mic, man, but hey, that's good because now I can make sure people can hear me. I'm still having my mouse cursor be freaked out, but that is okay. I just want to reintroduce myself, and I'm Gandair of the gaming clan Vato clan. You can follow me in my media on Twitter at Vato clan and YouTube.com/Vato clan as well. So if you like me in my media, check me out in those places. And my co-commentator for this event is
Azaraki Dragon, and on Twitter you can find me at Azaraki Dragon, and that's a lot of people have trouble spelling that. It's Azaraki.
Yo man,
there's an A for every other letter except for the last one, which is an I. That helps, I think.
Yeah, it's just alternate vowels, and then the last vowel is an I. Makes it pretty easy. So we are at the champion select screen now. For this semifinals game, we are casting this series, then we are casting the other semifinals series, then we will be casting the consolation, the 3rd and 4th place match, and then after that we will be casting the finals. So this is going to be Sofanda Cox versus Pays Evelynn Child Support, which, if you didn't catch it a moment ago, I'll bring it back up during the delay, the spectator delay, but Pays Evelynn Child Support's record is impressive. Bands coming out quickly: Kassadin, Nidalee, Kha'Zix, Teemo. Those are some of the top band champions. They easily rank in the top 10 of bands. Kassadin, highly mobile, has a long duration silence, good escape and engage. Nidalee's poke is amazing. She's a champion that also gives vision on the map. In a map with no wards, her vision is pretty powerful. Jayce, long range poke, difficult to kill because you can't kite him because he will shoot you. So you can't treat him like a bruiser, and you can't try and range him down either. So you have to fight him on fairly even terms in any engagement. So there's no real direct, simple way to say this is how you deal with Jayce. Kha'Zix, high burst damage, can appear out of nowhere. Teemo gives vision on the map. The blind is annoying. And Jarvan. Jarvan is one of the most picked characters, I think, in Dominion. Jarvan and Wukong, I think, are probably taking the top 2 slots. And with Jarvan banned, let's see, Fancy Wolf for the team Sofanda Cox is going to pick up Zyra. Zyra's zoning ability is amazing. Zyra has a lot of AoE abilities. Zyra has multiple crowd control effects, slow, airborne, snare, great champion. And over on the other side we are seeing Wukong+Elise. Painkiller+Elise? That's pretty scary, man. He's a really good Elise player. Elise has a stun, she's pretty durable. And Wukong has an armor reduction and an AoE airborne, so he's a rough champion to deal with as well because the initiation that he provides to team fights is so solid.
Of course it is, and one thing I do have to note is the fact that the blue team, they have picked up Vi, and they've locked it in this time, and we saw, I think, someone hovering over a Vi before, but now it is 100% picked. So this is going to be a pretty weird champion to pick. We were talking about it before. A lot of hard initiate. However, she doesn't really have any range at all, so most of it is going to be kiteable, and I think the only real range she has is on her ultimate. Her dash technically counts, but it also zooms her to wherever she decides to dash to, so that is something that, might not work out too well. But on the other hand, we also have a Brand picked up for their team, and that's going to be really good for more of that zoning potential. He's got a lot of AoE, and in teamfights, his Pyroclasm is going to be doing so much damage. And one of the biggest problems of Brand in Summoner's Rift is that it's hard to actually get to the point where your ultimate can proc on enough people and make it do enough damage. But in somewhere like Dominion, everyone's grouping up for fights all the time. There's never a dull moment in Dominion. And that's really something that helps him out, helps him land his ultimates, and we were already talking about that sort of AoE zone, and with Zyra Brand, they're going to be really strong at that.
And Generic's Brand in particular, if it is Generic that ends up playing it, which is likely, Generic's Brand is also a very good Brand. He and Half-Hearted are two of the better players in the Dominion community for that champion. And Painkiller over on the other side is extremely good Elise player. We're seeing Cassiopeia and Maokai both picked up as well. Cassiopeia has very high sustained damage, and she can zone very well. Because of the way that Miasma lingers on the map, it really discourages people trying to capture, and is very good at interrupting and delaying captures. So she has very good delay, she has very high damage output. Cassiopeia is a really good champion. You can kill Cassiopeia pretty easily if you can connect with her, but you gotta watch out for that dot damage, because there's been a lot of narrow engagements where you just drop dead afterwards because of the poison.
And on top of that, she also has one of those big, strong initiation abilities on her ultimate. Granted, people have to be facing towards her, but if she can land that at the perfect time, and it also needs to be an unpredictable time as well, because I've seen a lot of high-level games where someone would be ready to initiate a fight on Cassiopeia, but they know exactly when she's about to ult. They turn around at the right time, everyone gets slowed instead of stunned, and they're able to win the fight directly afterwards. So that's something that they have to worry about on top of that as well. But if they can land a great Cassiopeia initiation, then it's going to be the same effect as the Glacial Prison we saw in the last game from Sejuani, those really big stun initiations that help their team win fight after fight. And on top of that, they have people like Maokai and Wukong to just add more to the big AoE stack that they'll have going when they do decide to have some of those team fights. And meanwhile, let's go back over to the blue team and see that they've picked up both Orianna and Malzahar. So both Orianna more than Malzahar, a really big AoE champion, but Malzahar has complete lockdown with his ultimate. And one of the big things Malzahar was always known for, even though he's not played all that much in Season 3 Summoner's Rift, he's still known for being able to 100 to 0 you while you can't do anything about it. Because if he puts down Malefic Visions, puts down the Void Zone, uses his Gate and also his ultimate, then that is so much stacking damage right there. It can kill most champions in the game with that combo alone. The biggest problem with that is that he is also immobile when that happens, and he's very susceptible to CC or interrupts while he's doing that.
Looking at the two teams, there is a lot of AP. It is something that people have noted in the Twitch chat, which I wanted to reference the Twitch chat for the following reason. It's misbehaving on a couple of browsers, so try switching your browser if you can't get into the Twitch chat. So if you're watching the show and you want to hang out and talk with us live in the chat, try opening up in a different browser and see if that works better for you. But there are a lot of AP in this game. AP champions have become very, very popular when Blackfire Torch was released, because it used to be you'd maybe bring one AP to the table. Now it's okay to bring two. Sometimes people bring three and get really crazy about it, and they just take the pen items all in a row. They get pen shoes, Blackfire Torch, Void Staff, Wooglets, and It's actually kind of depressing that they get into this sort of... The builds are all very samey, but they're also very powerful because Blackfire Torch is such an amazing item. It gives Pen, it has a % damage over time dot. It gives HP, AD, or HP, AP, excuse me, and cooldown reduction. It's a very powerful item to have. And on Malzahar in particular, on Malzahar, we're probably going to see Malzahar in the bottom lane, and I would not be surprised if we saw an AD Malzahar in a Dominion. It's very popular to see him go with an AD build and make use of his Voidling because he can harass very, very safely with the Voidling, and he doesn't necessarily need a lot of AP because the Suppress and Silence, he just needs them for their crowd control effects. Malzahar sets up amazing ganks because he has the Suppress and the Silence. So if someone comes down to gank for him, then Malzahar can really secure that. It has not been as popular recently to see AD Malz. He has kind of fallen out of favor a little bit, but he's still a good champion to have in your arsenal.
That's very true. Now, if we go ahead and look at some of the summoner spells so far, a little bit more aggressive on the side of the purple team. They have 2 Ignites on their side, 2 Exhausts. Well, everyone's taken Revive, but 2 Ignites, 2 Exhausts, as well as a Garrison. So the Garrison is fairly standard. Most of the time you see one person with that summoner spell, but it looks like the blue team, they're going much more forward towards Exhaust. So they're looking to win fights more towards their own damage rather than stacking that with Ignite. And they're also trying to prevent some of that major burst damage that we see on the purple team. Say if someone exhausts Syndra before she can pop her ultimate, then that ultimate's going to be cut in damage. You know, you're not going to be 100-0'd by Syndra as you normally would expect. And that's going to be very strong for them as well. So I like those choices of defensive summoner spells. We're not seeing any clairvoyances, however, and we're also not seeing anyone who can sort of ward up the map. So we might be seeing something like a Spectral Lantern or a Hextech Sweeper coming out from one of these teams.
Yeah, that's a very safe bet to see those. The Hextech Sweeper in particular is very, very popular on tanks because it gives cooldown reduction and it gives hit points, AP, and movement speed. It's amazing. It's one of the best items that I think Riot's ever made. And that movement speed really helps tanks with the initiation, and the health is very good as well. And interesting to note, looking at these two teams, I know Nerdok as a bottom laner, he does a lot of bottom lane Malzahar, but Confidaris on Syndra, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Confidaris in the bottom lane as well. And Syndra versus Malzahar is sort of an unfriendly matchup, because anytime the Voidling gets close, Syndra can just throw it back at Malzahar, and it really inhibits Malzahar's ability to do damage to Syndra at times because of that. Because he loses the DPS time on the Voidling and takes damage from it being thrown at him, and then the Voidling has to walk back, or is potentially dead.
Yeah, a lot of his fights are going to be basically banking on the fact that he lands his silence, which is a very big ability for Malzahar, and even in late game, he can go ahead and silence multiple people on the same team because it is an AoE silence, but it is harder to land than a lot of others, especially if you compare it to someone like Kassadin, whose silence follows you and hits you no matter what, unless you have a spell shield or a cleanse or a Quicksilver Sash or something of that like. But with Malzahar, you really have to aim that, and it's not even just a straight-up skill shot, it's a gate, so you have to predict how far away they're going to be, you have to predict their movement. There are a lot of things you have to consider in order to try to land that, so that's something that, if he doesn't land that, then Syndra can have free reign to harass him down, to throw his Voidling back at him, and to do just a lot more damage in general. So that's something that we're going to have to see how they handle as well.
And at the loading screen, this is going to be the first match of the semifinals. This is going to be Sofanda Cox versus Pay's Evelynn Child Support. Sofanda Cox's team consisting of Fancy Wolf playing as Zyra, Generic playing as Brand, Cercio playing as Vi, Caden playing as Orianna, and Nerdok playing as Malzahar. I am one half of your commentators for this day 2 of the LoLPro Dominion Showdown, and my co-commentator is
Azaraki Dragon.
And who do we have on the other team?
On the other team, we have I don't know how to pronounce that, actually. Confidarius.
Confidarius, I believe.
Confidarius on Syndra. Painkiller on Elise, and you've been talking about how good he is on Elise, so we'll be looking forward to seeing that. Sailor Moonberry on Jade Fang Cassiopeia. Wukong is being played by Buddha Rice, and Carnival is rounding out the team on Maokai.
We just have a couple of moments more at the loading screen. Big shout out to Riot's art department for being amazing. Jade Fang Cassiopeia is an awesome skin, and they continually produce just amazing art in this game. Syndra, Bladecraft, Orianna, Neon Strike Vi are all very pretty skins, and they get better every single day. And then they do art reworks, and Riot's art team is amazing. I wish they sold prints of some of these splash arts.
Yeah, and one thing I actually saw rolling around in Twitch chat for a bit, and I wanted to ask something about this. Why do you think there isn't a ranked Dominion mode yet?
We're in touch with the people at Riot on the subject of ranked Dominion, and it just comes down to a variety of factors. You'll want the player base.
Hello, this is Gandair breaking in for just one quick moment. Here in the VOD, there was a segment where I dropped some frames during the broadcast, and we're going to just jump right to the windmill. You didn't miss anything other than a little bit of talk and a little bit of walking up to that fight.
Time. Rice is going in for a quick engagement. He's going to decoy out of there and actually dealing a lot more damage than he took. His decoy took a lot of damage, but he was able to stay alive for the most part. Going back in for it as well, almost killing Cercio. A quick Orianna shield is going to keep him out of harm for a little bit, but he's gone a little bit too far, and it looks like there goes the kill onto Rice, and he's going to get taken down extremely quickly. Cercio, oh, the sapling just barely gets popped and kills him as well. Zyra goes down, and it looks like Elise is going to pick up a double kill onto Brand, and they are going to win that top engagement, taking the windmill at the very first section of the game.
In the bottom lane, Nerdok has Confi pushed over towards his tower. That may change later, but we will see how that plays out. Neither one of them seems in significant danger at the moment. Vi and Maokai both hanging down towards the lower side of the map, so we could see some gank, counter gank going on. Interesting, both Malzahar and Syndra float, which is pretty entertaining from my point of view. Carnival being found by Vi and intercepted, so probably not going to see a gank happen here, as the members of Payzone Child Support are a little lower on hit points than we see on Sofanda Cox's side.
Already we're seeing a little bit more action happen near the bottom in this game rather than the other couple of games we've seen. Rice now getting caught out a little bit, and meanwhile in the bottom lane, Carnival is going in for Nerdok. Great gank with a twisted advance. He's going to be able to pick up the kill right there. Ignite as well as Malefic Visions ticking down on Syndra. Is it? No, it's just not going to kill her. The last tick, not enough, and Rice is now caught himself, and he's going to get taken down really quickly. Looks like Zyra is going to secure that kill.
And it looks like Nerdok is going for the AP Mals this game, so that 100-0 option that you were explaining earlier during the Champ Select is very much a possibility, and especially up against Syndra, that can be particularly effective. So we're going to have to keep our eyes out for that. Moonberry taking some damage from Brand, but being able to get away okay. And Painkiller, Elise's Spirelings actually soaking the damage from those plants that came from Zyra, which is very interesting. The Spirelings from Elise are really good at a lot of different things. They will soak some of the Dumbfire abilities. Dumbfire meaning it auto-targets, or it just picks whatever the closest target is. Zyra's plants are an example of this. Heimer's turrets as well. And they can soak up the damage from those without Elise having to be hit by them, or Elise's allies, depending upon what the case may be. You can also throw Elise's Spirelings at her if you are a Syndra. And they're also really good at body blocking things like Rammus or other skill shots.
In the bot lane, we saw a kill go out, and that was on Cercio for her Vi, but at the same time, it looks like they were able to neutralize that point. So at this point, 3-1. Unfortunately, the blue team is not faring too well right now. But it looks like, up in the top lane, there's another engagement as the Elise is just extremely strong right there, going on to Kadoin, and he's going to be able to take him down. One last Neurotoxin, not enough. There goes the Cocoon. He's going to be able to stun him, but Janarike is now the one who's going to be turning on him, and there goes a quick kill on a Painkiller, unfortunately, getting a little bit too greedy and chasing a bit too far.
And Generic moving up to the top tower. Rice is waiting to come out and interrupt. Gets it. Cyclone afterward is going to sweep up Orianna. Moonberry comes in to ward Cercio away. And now Fancy Wolf between Maokai and Cassiopeia is not a good place to be. Caught by the airborne and the stun. Great setup. Painkiller picking up that kill.
And he's going to be very happy with that kill. So the big objectives are in the windmill and the refinery, and that's a little bit more towards the favor of Sofanda at this point, because the windmill is something that's a little bit easier for them to take rather than pays Evelynn, they're going to have a little bit of a harder time capturing something that's so close to the spawn of Sofanda, and it looks like they're going back in for it. Carnival tanking the tower a little bit. He's going to stop it from being attacking right there by trying to capture it, and it looks like Kha'Zix is going to have to be forced off right there, and I'm just basically forced to eat my words there as they win the fight and take the objective right there. Fancy Wolf now being attacked right. Wow, they're doing a lot of damage, and they're just completely dominating this game so far.
And pays Evelynn Child Support sweeping around to the bottom point, putting a lot of hurt on Nerdok. Immediately, Confidarius chasing after as well, being able to get the stun. Him picking up the kill. And Generic, low on health, is going to be chased away by Elise. Elise, I'm scared. Don't get too close to that. Spiraling's being cleaned up by the Nexus laser. Cercio being forced back. Pays Evelynn Child Support's positioning, keeping Sofanda Cox's team contained inside the base.
I want to see one person drop back to capture that point down there just for the 5 cap. Would be certainly something to see in the Dominion tournament. Carnival's going back in for it, using his ultimate. There goes the lockdown onto Syndra. He's going to be taken down really quickly, but it looks like they're going to win the rest of the fight anyway. Nerdok taken down really quickly, and Generic is going to be taken down directly afterwards. It looks like Wukong is going to go ahead and pick up that kill. Carnival is still trying to duel with Kha'Zix, and he's doing quite a bit of damage, and at this point it looks like he's now finally going to try to capture that 5 cap, and maybe... It looks like he is now going to start it. It looks like we will see the 5 cap. Kha'Zix is going to try to stop him, however. The sapling doing quite a bit of damage, so a twisted advance with an arcane smash combo and another sapling to follow up might be enough to do this. But it looks like, Nerdok and Generic are going to go back into this, and they're going to be able to secure the kill, force them off the tower. It looks like we will not see a 5 cap today.
No, we will not. They are going to get that point back. So it's going to be a 4-1, which is a very significant advantage for Pays Evelynn Child Support, up almost 300 Nexus health in this game at the moment. Buddha Rice retreating away, retreats through the health relic, wants to get back to his team. And Buddha Rice, there's plants there. I'm scared, man. Get away from that. No, he's going to get taken down. Moonberry now having to retreat towards Painkiller. Painkiller tries to zone away and manages to scare Vi off. And Sofanda Cox is going to be able to take back the refinery. Nerdok taking a lot of damage from Syndra and Elise. Generic by himself at the bottom point, quickly being swept up. The Petrifying Gaze from Cassiopeia delivering the stun right away. Cercio trying to chase Confidarius out of the fight. Defensive Garrison activated on the point. Cercio now being chased by Moonberry. Moonberry is going to secure that kill. And Moonberry dodges the snare from Fancy Wolf's Zyra as well. Continues fighting, trying to chip away at her as best as he can. Fancy Wolf landing mostly AAs and not abilities. Eventually able to pick up the kill, but dies in the process. Bottom point still defended for the moment. And the top neutralized. Sofanda Cox may not be down yet.
They may not, but just barely missing that follow-up skill shot from Generic, or Generic, I think it actually is. I've been saying Generic this entire time, but she might actually be able to escape. Syndra doing a very good job right there. More slows, but it looks like, I don't know what exactly picked that up. It might have been Malefic Visions at long range.
Yeah. Heard the sound effect from it. It has a very distinct noise. And it's really useful to identify the spells that way, because sometimes you don't always see what happens, but if your ears can see for you, well, that's a whole new level of learning. And the bottom, Generic and Nerdok alternating captures on the tower to make sure someone's constantly working on it. They do have 3 capture points now. The Nexus health drain on their base has stopped, and they can begin to come back from this. And Sofanda Cox is a team that has proven to be capable, although they have not won against Pays Evelynn Child Support before. So we'll see if this could be the game where they start to get that winning record against them.
We'll see if they can, and Generic down in the bot lane, they're going to be capturing this point, and they're trying to hold it as best they can, but holding a point so close to the enemy spawn is always hard to do, and it looks like they're going to be able to muscle them off here. Fancy Wolf getting caught out in the top lane. He's going to be taken down by both the tower and Carnival. However, Cercio is up here trying to do something about it, dodges the Zyra passive, and it looks like Carnival, he's really going to have to look for safety under his own tower, but Kha'Zix is back up in the top lane. He's going to be able to secure the kill. Meanwhile, near the bottom lane, Buddha Rice is almost going to be able to kill Nerdok, but both of them are going to be able to turn on him and take that down. Painkiller doing a great disrupt with Repel onto Kha'Zix. He's going to be able to prevent that cap in the top lane, and they're going to go back in for it. Sailor Moonberry landing a Petrifying Gaze, and they're going to be able to go in for Cercio, actually just running right past him, trying to go for Kha'Zix, and finally getting taken down, and the damage over time is going to be able to pick up Kha'Zix right there. They'll be able to take the windmill back into their favor.
In that particular instance, they knew that they could turn around at any moment to defeat Vi, because Vi could not escape through this wall. It's too thick for her. So they instead opted to chase through for a little bit to try and close in with Orianna, secure that kill, which they were able to do so. Fancy Wolf has found Painkiller and Moonberry, and he doesn't have a way out of that, unfortunately. Repels away from the Stranglethorn. That does not connect. Passive does not connect either. Fancy Wolf, very ineffective in that last engagement.
And at this point, it looks like they sent Carnival down to the bottom lane, and Nerdok doesn't really have too much he can do against him other than throw out Malefic Visions. Other than that, there's not too much damage he can do. Carnival's building for very tankiness and he's got a lot of magic resist, but Buddha Rice caught out in the top lane. It looks like he's not going to be able to do anything to defend this tower, and Sofanda are going to get back into this, try to get back into this with a windmill cap. Elise is up here, going to be able to stun one of them and prevent the cap. The neutralize will still go out, however, and it looks like he's just trying to poke around, be as annoying as possible. There goes the stun, it lands. They're going to be able to initiate off of this, but a great repel is going to save her life, drop back down when Sailor Moonberry and Carnival get back in here, and it looks like Kha'Zix is now the one who's about to die. One last Twin Fang's going to pick up the kill right there, and Painkiller just barely on the edge of Generic's Pillar of Flame right there. And it looks like Carnival's going to try to kill Fancy Wolf behind the tower as well. Fancy Wolf taken down really low by those damage over times, and it looks like Carnival taking a little bit of damage himself. Sailor Moonberry almost dead, and there goes, the damage over time from Brand is not going to be enough. But
4 health on Maokai. Twisted advances over to Cercio, and gets a little bit of healing from that sap magic, which can keep him alive a little bit longer. Vi eventually taking him down, but buying that time, dragging Vi away from Wukong, giving Wukong more free time in to damage Brand. Brand wise enough to not get within Nimbus Strike range.
And there we go. They're going to be able to take that top back for them. And unfortunately, the bottom, it is neutralized down there, so they're going to be taking that back as well. So at this point, it's going to be 3-2, but at the same time, we're seeing that Pei's Evelynn has been doing really well in a lot of these team fights. I don't really know if they're going to have too much trouble trying to take back this top windmill right here, and they're making a beeline right towards it. Painkiller making sure he picks up the Storm Relic before he heads up there, and that's going to give him a little bit of extra damage as well as that shield that we all know and love. So, this is going to be the engagement that probably will end the game. If Pei's Evelynn wins this engagement, they'll probably be able to win. They'll take that top tower, they'll take the windmill, they'll be able to force it to a 3-2 tower advantage, and they'll probably be able to defend it long enough for them to secure the win. But here goes, no!
Petrifying Gaze does not connect, and Cercio dashes into the fight. Stranglethorn goes down, and Zyra quickly defeats, and Cercio follows suit rather quickly afterwards. Pei's Evelynn Child Support just sweeping that fight despite the missed Petrifying Gaze from Cassiopeia.
Yeah, their team fight is just so good, and even though the Petrifying Gaze missed, Cassiopeia still has so much damage in the rest of her kit that she's able to do something like that, where if you get knocked by a poison, then her Twin Fangs refresh whenever she hits someone who's got poison on them. And on top of that, I think half of the mana cost is refunded, so you don't need to worry about that mana cost as well on Cassiopeia. And on top of that, the dots just tick down more and more. Painkiller doing a very good job of putting out damage. Nerdok going to go ahead and try to neutralize this bot lane tower. Unfortunately, he's going to get stopped really quickly, and there's 3 of them there taken down. Nothing he can do about that, but at the same time, Sofanda are going to try to take back the windmill as well, but it looks like Sailor Moonberry is going to try to do something about it. He's trying to kite out Cercio as much as possible. The Ignite as well as the Poison ticking down so much. He's going back in for it. Generic going to be able to secure the kill right there with a final skill shot, but at the same time, they're still down. Oh no, the neutralize in the bot lane. It looks like the quarry is being neutralized. They're going to be able to cap that, and it's going to trade a cap for a cap. It's still looking bleak for Sofanda.
As Sofanda Cox has very little Nexus health to play with left in the game. Fancy Wolf getting blown up by Confederaris' Syndra, unfortunately. And Nerdok being able to get back. The crowd control stacked on him so well that Fancy Wolf just could not go anywhere, even if he wanted to. And Nerdok being stunned, and Confederaris really camping this. Oh, there's the ultimate from Maokai. The Nether Grasp taking Confederaris very low. And Nerdok gets his own Voidling thrown back at him and almost dies for it, but Buddha Rice Wukong is there to secure the kill and defend the tower. Maokai just a little bit further up north from that. Fancy Wolf and Generic starting a forest fire on Mao. Pyroclasm fired off, does not chain, unfortunately, and Buddha Rice slam dunked by Assault and Battery will not be able to pick up a kill on anyone except for Zyra.
And it doesn't look like Sofanda are going to be able to do this. The windmill has been neutralized. They're trying to take back the quarry, but it's not going to be enough. 3, 2, 1. You hear those ticks, and it looks like that's going to be GG. Pei's Evelynn Child Support taking the first game in a pretty convincing win. 351 Nexus health left for them.
Yes, Paisley Child Support is going to take this first game, and we're going to bring you Game 2 of this Best of 3 series. This is the first match of the semifinals.
And real quick, just sort of, we will be giving a shout out to our sponsors, and those are Curse, LoLPro, Reign of Gaming, and Leaguepedia. And we have already plugged that LoLPro site before, and they have some pretty cool Dominion guides up as well. And that's always nice if you're just barely starting to get into Dominion a little bit. And I know I am. Most of the time I do cast Summoner's Rift, so I don't really have too much experience on Dominion, but it's very action-packed, very high-paced, very fast. And it's fast and it's fun, yeah, quoting Dyrus right there, but at the same time, it's also pretty fun to cast. I like seeing so much action, and it is something worth getting into.
And it seems as if we have the "I got a game no longer exists" error. I'm going to relog this. The second time I have had that error occur. So I'm going to relog my client really quick, and I'm going to give an opportunity to cut to a commercial really quick here before this next game.